Bamm Ericsen here with AFTERBUZZ TV for Ballers. Season 2, Episode 7, titled Everybody Knows. And time to talk. Let's go. Drop it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I forgot the words.
One thing, baby, cause I'm a thug, hardcore, hard body, all day. Like the thugs do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Bamm Ericsen. You can follow me on all social media at Bamm Ericsen.
Hey, I'm Jill Munroe. You can follow me on all social media at Stiletto Jill.
Hey guys, what's up? Suzette here. You can follow me at Suzette Babb on Twitter and Instagram.
Hold on, let it bump just one more time.
Classic Trick Daddy, you know what I'm saying? Classic.
Right. Okay, so there was a lot that was going on. So were you guys satisfied with tonight's episode?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Finally, so much, I mean, it was so packed, like from start to finish, so much action. I was really excited about tonight's episode.
My jaw was like,
Every
at the end,
second.
my head is spinning. I'm like, what is gonna happen?
So much to talk about.
A lot to talk about, because baby, I'm a thug. Okay, so enough. Okay, so Charles was pretty active in tonight's episode.
Charles was very active.
He never lets us down.
Okay, so Charles comes to the house. There's Julie, and she's showing the baby how to twerk, and he's like, do not show my daughter how to twerk.
She's so much fun. She's like hot wifey mom.
Any thoughts just on that scene? Because that was their only scene together as a couple.
I mean, Charles and Julie are cute. We like them together. We like their relationship. I like that Charles is stepping up and seems to be embracing his role as mentor for the players and kind of, knowing what their sensitive areas are, weaknesses, and, still being able to handle team business. So I'm liking the direction of Charles.
Yeah, I feel like now he's getting paid for what he was doing all along, which was mentoring the guys, and we saw Ricky come to the house, and they all lean on him for support, and when they freak out with news, he can calm everyone down.
So then speaking of Ricky, so Ricky comes to the house in the daytime, so Charles knows his friend. So obviously there's something wrong with Ricky, and Ricky says that he and his dad got into a fight and that he feels guilty. Okay, so Charles says that you need to that Dennis wants to share into his success. Ricky says that Dennis is selfish, and Charles said a point that I want us to touch on. He says there's 31 teams in the NFL. There's 31 other teams in the NFL, but you only have one father. Give him a pass. What's your take on Charles? What's your take on Charles' advice to Ricky to let go of whatever he's holding on regarding his dad, Dennis?
It's time. I mean, someone has to be like Charles told him, be the bigger man.
Yeah.
Someone has to be that. And so whether or not Ricky kind of looks at Charles as an older brother maybe, and he takes his advice, eventually they can't keep fighting the way they are. So sometimes even if it's a friendship, a relationship, family, someone has to step up. So, I mean, I wish that obviously it would have been the father, but we know that's just not going to happen.
I do think that, it's time for them to settle the differences. But at the same time, I mean, his dad wasn't blameless. The only thing to me is that Charles probably knows, as well as, Dennis too, he just handled it wrong, that ultimately Ricky doesn't really want to be in any of those other places. And that's, what his problem is. So I appreciate Charles telling him, you guys need to mend this and you need to fix it, but why does it have to be Ricky?
Okay, now I'm going to be Petty Pablo here, and I think Charles needs to shut his ass up because he doesn't know the full situation of what's going on. Or maybe he does understand the situation, but the fact remains that his dad went on Twitter.
I disagree. I agree
caused
with that,
him to lose the contract with the team that he was most eager to play with. Although whether if he was going to play or not, that is not the damn point. The point is he did go on Twitter, and Dennis needs to step up and he needs to make the apology. Now, regardless if Dennis is selfish or whatever the situation is, but he has every right to be upset, and I don't think that he should just be so forgiving and give him a pass when look at his track record. Look at when he stepped his ass onto the scene in season 1, how he was just so like just nonchalant, not giving a care in the world towards his son. And the only reason that he stepped up and said something was because his ass was put on blast on a major interview. That's my first beef. Then the second beef is the way that you pop up into this boy's relationship and you have not given any explanation. Now, there's still issues with the mother, but he needs to say something. If you don't want to be apologetic, that's one thing, but tell your full side of the story and stop having this damn fucking chip on your shoulder as if he's supposed to roll out the red carpet for your ass.
Yeah, but his father is clearly never going to do that. And I think the whole point is that Ricky wants his dad to be around. So he either is going to have to forgive and be on that even keel level. So maybe they'll have a relationship where they can talk it out before his dad even, would get onto Twitter next time. Do you get what I'm saying?
But if I get what you're saying. So if he is the way that he is,
maybe if he can.
What's the point in forgiving him if you're going to continue to have the same script, different cast?
Because
What's
he
the
wants
point?
him around.
You heard him tell him ultimately, later in the show that he wants them to burn up Miami together. I do think, though, I agree with you. I think Dennis needs to calm down and mind his business, at least publicly, as far as what's going on with Ricky's career, because even if Ricky wants you involved and wants his input, that's not your place to do that. We don't need you to push those buttons. I understand it's his dad, but I don't understand Ricky, why he felt he needed to apologize.
Because he's looking for the validation from his father. And by giving him that sports car, that's not going to help the situation, because now you're buddy-buddy, now you're friends. Now it's like, here's a car and let's cause trouble together. Instead of him being... watching over him as a father should.
So then, now let's go to this. So Ricky buys his dad this really expensive car. And see, this is another peeve of mine, because when he apologized, he says you can't buy forgiveness. Are you fucking kidding me? So now you're trying to tell your son that you can't buy forgiveness? Like, fucking speak up and say something. Like, he's buying you a car and he's apologizing. Your ass should apologize first. Like, I don't get it. Like, he's beyond selfish, and I wish he would have crashed in the last scene.
I
wish
thought
he
that
would
was
have
gonna
crashed.
happen. I know. I
did
thought
too.
that.
He
But
needs
you
to
can't.
die.
You
He needs
can't
to
have
crash
that
and die.
happen, because that's what happened to start off the series in episode 1.
He needs to
season
crash
1.
and die. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling Dennis. He needs to.
The problem is, it's the cycle. Whenever a parent's not around, then they come back. It's always going to be hot and cold.
But I think, too, it's also for Ricky, it's the, rich athlete things. Gifts fix things. Expensive things, money fix most problems.
And the way I felt like Dennis played him. So he was like, you can't buy forgiveness.
And then he takes the car.
And then he was like, okay, I'll take it. Like, the way that he take it, I smell no good.
Well, I think
He is no good. He is no good.
And 2
You're
weeks ago,
absolutely right.
3 weeks ago, I was defending him. But in this episode, like, okay, so he apologized. You mean to tell me your ass can't apologize back?
No, because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. And
That's how he was raised, I suppose.
I also think that with the new deals that Ricky has on the table, which we'll discuss later, I think that is going to help Dennis feel justified that he didn't do anything wrong. Like, look, I helped.
Look what it did.
Yeah,
he
look at the
exposed
chain of
that.
events that started.
Who knows if he's that smart, though, sometimes. I don't even think he
I think he will
realizes.
connect.
Yeah.
I think so.
So we'll get to the deal, but the very last thing is, so he takes the car, he goes on this massive joyride, he's flying down. When I think of Miami, I think of Bad Boys when they were on the strip,
where you're connecting from Miami to the beach.
Yeah, I'm not from Miami, so just that strip that I noticed
Pure
in Bad
road.
Boys. Yeah, so he's driving on something similar to that. The police notice that someone is flying by, and the police,
They're playing a game on their phone.
Yeah,
They're
playing the game.
chilling. They don't always want to go chase people down for what?
They
So-
probably see it all the time. Look
yeah.
at LA, too.
Yeah.
Everyone's always speeding.
So do you think that that's future problems for Dennis?
The car?
The car?
I think it could be. But what more it represents is, I think that you're going to see Dennis out there like Drake's dad. You know how Drake's dad's out there like
Yeah.
getting at chicks and, now he has a song. I think that that's kind of what you're going to see with Dennis. He's going to be more and more heavily involved into the current player lifestyle. And I think for whatever reason, Ricky wants that because that's the way he knows he can keep his dad in his life, and that's how they can relate.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll get deeper.
You hit it there because that's what Ricky said. Let's take this town on together.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make...
It doesn't make any sense.
He wants a
but
best friend, BFFs. Matching Ferraris.
I'm over those two. Like I said, he can if he doesn't step up and tell what really happened, and if we don't see Ricky's mom soon, I'm over that storyline, because if not, he could crash and die for all I care.
Right. And Ricky almost signed a deal, man.
Yeah.
We were so close.
Okay, so now let's discuss Ricky's deal. So Charles has this idea with Seifert that he knows now that Ricky really wants to stay home. So he came up with this idea: if he can get a player to reconstruct their contract, and so if he can get someone to reconstruct the contract, then he can stay. So then he goes to Alonzo.
After all,
It's
that.
always
homeboy,
Alonzo, our
who's
favorite.
played by Antoine Harris. So they get him to reconstruct the deal. Now, remind you, he took Ricky's deal.
He took.
Right.
Here's the thing with
not
Alonzo.
his
Why I
deal, though.
respect
Yeah.
Alonzo so much in some ways. Not only did he take Ricky's deal, wasn't Alonzo's mom from season 1
Yeah.
the one that so Ricky is always doing something to cut Alonzo off, and he always has to be the sort of bigger person to kind of get around it, you know. But I guess that's what happens maybe if you're the lesser talent on the totem pole with that. But
But it's hard to say if he took his deal. That's like you're offered something, you're like, I don't want it, and then they offer it to someone else. It's like, well, that's too bad for you.
Yeah, and correction, the deal was offered to him, but obviously Alonzo is just as a crucial player as Ricky, because
they're tag team. They're like what and what. They'll make a dangerous combination. So
and I thought Charles made a good point to bring
so
it
great
to
in this
bring it
position.
Yes.
to bring it to perspective is, rather than have one good receiver, why not have two? And you know, there's a list of players you can go back from the 80s to John Taylor and Jerry Rice. I mean, there's so many duos.
tandems work.
Yeah.
You cover
it
the field
does.
that way.
But the only thing that Alonzo wanted was to make sure that he gets the front parking spot.
Because remember, that's
Yeah.
been a sore spot. He took that from Ricky.
Yeah.
He got that from Ricky in the first place because Ricky was sleeping with his mom. So
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that parking spot. Why 2 more steps make such a big difference, but ego.
Yeah, it does not make it doesn't, but
He doesn't want to lose that too.
Right, everything.
It's if he's gonna give up something, then he needs to at least do something to rub Ricky the wrong way.
Right. Or to feel important.
Yeah.
So parking spot it is.
Yeah. So I do like that. That's where it may possibly go. So Charles was able to get a deal where he can get $9 million a year for 3 years.
Staying at home, less money. But
So now
Where he wants to be, hang out with dad.
Ricky's happy. Then we hadn't seen
I was
Jason.
happy too.
Yeah.
I was happy to be done
Yeah,
with this.
me too. And then we hadn't seen Jason all episode. He gets Jason calls Ricky and says the L.A. Rams,
woo woo, my team.
home of. Are you really?
I grew up, my parents had season tickets to the Rams. I grew up a Rams fan. They left. I had no team, and so I'm obligated to
Wait,
be a
which Rams?
fan.
You talking about when they were?
The LA Rams, when they were
Rams.
in Los Angeles,
Okay.
because I'm born and raised in LA. So back in the day, my
Okay.
parents had tickets, and
Okay.
that was our team. So yeah.
Okay, well then that totally makes sense, because I'm like, you were from back. Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
like
Childhood.
childhood.
Okay.
You know, that influence.
Okay.
So I'm
I
trying
thought
to
you meant St.
embrace
Louis.
it.
Okay.
No.
Have you
we
been
don't
to
count
have
those
you been
years.
to a game yet?
No, I'm going in a couple weeks. I tried to get season tickets, and that was like a mess. But anyway.
All right, well, all right, I'll be going to a game or two too. So,
Look,
yeah.
I'm jealous. Okay, Bam. Okay.
We tried to get tickets.
Well,
No,
you, I'll tell you where to get some tickets.
See.
Yeah.
Cam's
so,
the one to know.
So Jason calls Ricky and says the LA Rams want you, and the deal is
36 million.
Yes, 3
with half
years.
of it guaranteed.
Irritation. Why
Come
didn't he
on,
just say
Ricky,
how he
come
felt?
on.
Like, no, I want. If it's not about the money, why? He never has a reaction to anything.
Because the thing is this, though. It's not about the money, but here's the thing. It's LA, which is comparable to Miami.
Yeah.
You know, the money's going to be about the same after, because Miami has no state tax. LA does. But it's LA. And so it's
Right.
lights, it's camera, it's action, it's Ricky Jarrett. That's where he wants. And it's a new team.
He'd feel the
so
love
he knows
here.
he definitely would feel the love. So now it has him thinking back to the ego-based thing, because he is Miami was really just he wanted to stay, he wanted to be here, but those were feelings. But this package over here comes with a lot more feelings and things that can cover that, and also a fresh start. So we'll see.
But don't you think too, because he made a comment that he didn't want to just keep going back and forth. Maybe he just felt a little overwhelmed that he, was getting so many offers. Because think about it, Charles is the one who made the decision for him. Yeah. Charles didn't ask him, do you want to stay here and I'll see what I can do. He just took it upon himself to get him a deal.
Yeah.
So again, he's not really making a decision about what he wants.
I hope he makes a decision quickly and stays.
That's a good point, Suzette. He wasn't making a decision, but out of everyone so far, Charles seemed to have his best interests.
Yes.
And
the love.
Yeah. And who's to say that he was happy about the deal? It was such a quick shot. Maybe it was more of a thing like, oh gosh, here we go.
Here we go again.
Now, because now I have to
It's
tell him.
gonna mess with my head.
Yeah, and now I have to tell him possibly, I want to stay here.
And a lot of entertainers, athletes, they want to just do the work. They don't want to have to deal with that. So,
all the business.
So he literally just had a moment where Charles took care of it. Now Charles can call Jason, and now I don't have to worry about it. I can maybe go to wherever I want to go really quick and come back and be ready be ready for season. And then when Jason gives him this news, it's like, oh God, I don't deal with that. So maybe next week or in 2 weeks, maybe he'll have Jason talk to Charles, and maybe it'll all be taken care of. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope it's just like, we got him this money. He's comfortable. The Rams are gonna suck. Yeah. So stay here, stay home, and we'll move on.
Okay, so 2 other stories. So now there's Travis and Spencer.
Travis is growing on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a sensitive side.
I mean, he's young. He had, he's a football player, masculine. He had that shell. He had some things going on. Don't you remember when Theo on the Cosby Show we found out he was dyslexic, and it changed everything in his whole world, because then he figured out what the problem was, and he could go on. And so Travis has obviously found a way to manage it, but he just, he's trying to get past it and navigate it. I guess he doesn't want that out there because, to the point you just made, he just wants to play.
Yeah. And do you think that, I was going to say, Dwayne, do you think that Spence should have been a little more cautious, being that when he went to Glaze, he was bamboozled? So do you think that he should have said, I need your questions. What are you going to ask? But he doesn't manage him.
He doesn't manage him, and I think too maybe he trusts his relationship with Glazier, because who knew that he was going to flip?
But he got bamboozled.
That is the second time, right? I think that Spencer is so, because there's so many other things going on, things with Andre, his pill stuff, that he's sort of autopilot when it comes to Travis. He's just like, trouble kid, ego, check. We're gonna break him down. We're gonna try and make him look good. I don't think that until he actually spoke with him outside of the studio, I think that he forgets at moments that this is a real person who is not just cookie cutter, where you just kind of say attitude, check, and keep it moving.
Listen, I wrote down tons of notes regarding Spencer is sucking. He is not being a good businessman. First of all, you're totally jumping the gun. You need to get to know your clients. Clearly, you have to let's ask about your past, your childhood, what have you gone through. You need to know everything, so that if you're going to bring them on a show, you already know how to teach them how to answer questions, or to, like originally with Ricky talking about his dad. They already prepped for that. So Spencer's all over the place.
But is it a money manager's role to do that?
Well,
but he clearly said, don't say anything that I'm representing him, or that I'm his this, because I'm not supposed to be. If you're not supposed to be, then you just take a seat back, because then there's no surprise that now you didn't get your license.
Yeah.
And then he did the whole thing about how he's just mentoring him.
But he's really not, though. A lie is a lie. This is why nobody wants to do business with you now.
Are you feeling Travis? Or?
No, I actually like Travis, but as far as what Spence did,
he's all over the place.
He was all over the place, but his intentions was good. So Travis potentially won't make round 1 of the draft because he didn't go to the combine. And so now that he's gotten to know Travis and he told Jason that, you know, he'll work with him, you know, he kind of sees him maybe as a big brother or something. Like, they've connected, they've bonded a little bit. So I think that Spencer was really organically just trying to help him reach the first round pick, because when he didn't go to the combine, that was, you know, people were questioning him. So I feel like he was genuinely trying to really help him with that. But I just think that he should have. He doesn't know any better. So I'm kind of.
That's why he needed to be honest with Joe, because hopefully Joe knows a little better to mentor Spencer. You know, when he said, "Is there anything else I need to know?" That's when you're honest with someone in business that you're working with. You know what? Yeah. I'm messing up right now. I have a drug problem. I'm in over my head. What can we do? It's just, that's not how you handle business.
Well, we'll get to that.
When we get to that.
We'll get to that in a second. But I feel. I'm 50-50, but what I did like is even when Spencer tried to protect him and say, you know what, this is a pre-tape interview, we'll come back. Travis is like, no, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna handle the situation, and I think he did a great job, because there's all, you know,
he did a great job.
Journalists and people who interview you always try to go about shady ways to try to get you, and I like what he did. He was like, well, I don't have to write on your freaking board.
I can just break it down.
I'm gonna break it down to you like this, and then boom. And so I like that he was able to compose himself and gather his thoughts. But now, to be petty, Pablo, why couldn't he just say that he's dyslexic?
I mean, I think that that's something, it goes back to ego, and that's something that he's learning how to deal with and manage, and he doesn't want it to, because at the same time, he does bring a valid point, whether it's dyslexic or something else, he still will be looked at as a dumb jock, even if it's a dumb jock because of dyslexia. It's still a condition where I think he's probably worried about someone trying to turn it around on him or use it against him, or say, oh, well, he's not a very smart player because he has this going on.
Yeah, probably.
Whereas now you just think he's a knucklehead.
I think he needs to get over it. There are tons of kids who, on various levels, you have people who have 4.0s who are dyslexic. So
probably once he gets a deal, and then talk about it. You know, have a foundation help others. Maybe he's just worried that if he leads with that before he has a deal, that could hinder something.
Okay, so now let's get into Spencer and Joe. So they're in the sauna.
I'm like overheated over here.
They're in the sauna, and Joe is questioning him about. You know things about me. You know about my wife when she passed. You know about...
Which now we know.
Right. We know that now. You know everything about me, and I know hardly anything about you.
Joe was right.
Valid point.
100%.
Joe had a very valid point, but then, too, it goes back again to... What type of business are you guys running? Because, Joe, you felt very, very comfortable getting into business with Spencer, giving him a lot of control, knowing that you... Well, I guess maybe he thought that he knew more than what he really did. But at what point did you not realize, like, hey, I don't know anything at all. I don't know if Spencer has a lot of investments or what, you know, the whole thing with his money. Because really, and I'm going to kind of question for a second, we knew from the beginning that Spencer had some money problems. So I guess that's why I'm so confused, because did Andre recommend this deal, or is this something that Spencer went rogue and went off and did on his own? Yeah. I get why it's a problem given his new job, but I don't really understand why he, being a player that may have messed up on an investment. I totally was on board with the you know, the example of what you don't want to do and the reformed, you know, spender thing. I think that that's really impactful. We've seen that over and over in so many ways, but I just don't understand. I guess we'll find out later what happened with the money that Andre can keep going in on Spencer about it, but his hands are totally clean. Like, it's not impacting his business.
It doesn't make sense.
When we finally, after 7 episodes, found out what the big deal was, I was like, who cares? So what, who cares?
I felt like we knew that. Like, we've known from the get-go Spencer had money problems from episode 1, season 1.
But what I don't understand is if the two of them were working together, why is this all Spencer's fault?
Exactly.
I'm
That's
same
the thing that I totally don't get, because I'm like, did he just say, "Give me my money, Andre"? And like he, had a shady friend that's like, "Yo, I got this landscape development or something,"
Because also I thought that if you have a financial advisor, you can't just take out $6 million from the bank, don't you? I mean, I know this is like logistics, but I thought your financial advisor has to sign off on things like that. Andre should have been watching over everything, and that's why I still am like holding hope that he's to blame, and that's why he's trying to buy the company.
And now that we find out that it was $6 million of Spencer's money and that how there were other players involved, what annoys me about this situation is how Spencer is kind of bitching out.
And acting, why is he acting so guilty?
So you guys worked together, you lost $6 million. And Andre's rubbing it into his face.
Some of these homes are like 20, 30 million. So
Yeah,
to me,
it's like,
$6
what's the
million,
big
Joe
deal?
thought it was a lot of money. And I'm thinking in the beginning, when he borrowed Vernon, I mean, that was $300,000, like it was no big deal.
Yeah, well, it is a lot of money for, if you're not worth billions of dollars, normally a football player wouldn't just put up $6 million. You put up a tenth of that, and then you get other people. So there's other parties involved. But also, if he put in $6 million, how much did the other players put in as well?
Right.
But again, I think we all.
You know what the other thing about that is? Not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but if he put in $6 million and it was such an egregious deal that big, how is it that it managed to slip so under the radar that nobody's known anything about it? If there were other players involved that lost big money like that, just there's lots of things about it that aren't really connecting. And
this may sound a little weird, but okay, so obviously the NFL, they knew about it. I don't know if Mr. Anderson knew it, obviously Andre, but I think anyone who has done their research knows this information. Sometimes you'd be surprised what happens when you Google someone,
Right?
or
That's
when you
true.
look on the Wikipedia. You would be totally surprised. The thing when they park it, that thing's been out in the public for years. And no
just
one is,
now.
and,
And
no,
I'm just seeing
and
it,
you're just now seeing it. So I kind of wonder. Okay, so Joe. Now going back to Joe, my problem with Joe is you didn't have a problem with this until someone got into your ear. You were willing, because my interpretation of the relationship was Joe was a business guy and Spence was a former football player who can bring the
Right.
players in,
To get
and then it's Joe's job.
Joe was the
Yes.
closer.
is the
Yes.
closer. So
I guess Joe.
you mad now?
I think Joe was mad because he was feeling underappreciated, because I think that was what the setup started out to be. But then Spencer started taking more of the closer, the deal maker, the business guy role, and Joe was feeling underappreciated.
But I think also it's because Joe doesn't know what's going on. He kept asking him, he's not telling him. So he feels like he's just lost in the dark. So he's going to actually see the doctor to get his information.
Okay. Anyone with an addiction, why would someone who's addicted to pills, why would they tell Joe, I'm addicted to pills? Who does that?
I guess maybe because Joe is kind of free with the, hey, let's take a pill for this. I guess he thinks that they're closer than that, or there's some weird disconnect about things going on. But can we, for a second, I know it's a little jump, how surprised were you that Spencer got fired?
Well,
Just Spencer.
Oh, I thought they both are. I thought that he said we're moving on.
No, it was just Spencer. That's why Joe was like, I need a scotch. And that's why he poured Joe, first he poured Joe the wine. Joe was good. Spencer got to go, because his thing was, you're only good to use as a trophy piece, the front piece. And now we can't use you as that because we can't get you certified. So you're serving no purpose for us. He didn't dismiss Joe.
But last season it was exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Spencer was okay and Joe was fired. So it's, how much are they going to fight for each other? But what can Spencer do now?
I guess he could reapply.
Or can he be like an assistant, or just have a different type of?
Okay. Do you guys think that Anderson took the deal? Do you think, because I was under the impression that maybe he sold his company to
that's
Mr.
right.
Anderson. which is why he fired him because, of
How
course,
can you sell
Andre.
a company if you don't have anything now though, right? Because they lost Sue. So who do they have? Just Vernon? Well, and maybe we don't know.
Vernon, Ricky.
Yeah, Vernon, Ricky. They have a bunch.
They have
yeah,
a couple of
you know,
people,
they have
but
a
they
nice
need
roster.
They need new. I guess the whole thing, what Anderson said, is they want new stuff. You can't live if the players are towards the end of their contracts
Right.
or the end of their careers. They're not going to have new income coming in that they can reinvest in the company. So that's why they want these young guys. I don't think he sold the company. I don't think that Anderson appreciates Andre thinking that he can come in there and speak to him in that manner and move things around. I think, though, that he was tired of Spencer and Joe's stuff. And when Spencer proved that, hey, you can't even get certified and you're going to, like, create some drama and waves, why do I need you? I can find another football player to be the front.
His face looked pretty serious when he said 7 zeros. Like it when Mr.
I mean,
Anderson
I
said
think
that.
that's because he knows that Andre's not going to put out 7 zeros to do that. I think that that's like probably close, but 7 zeros is that like we're getting into like
20
multi-million,
million,
yeah,
or-
like multi-million. So you know that could be 2 million. That could be like
Yeah.
you said, 20, 50.
Something still doesn't add up because if Andre knows about the deal and knows he's not going to get his license anyways, why does it matter for him to buy a company? Because Spencer's going to be gone and then you can pull those guys your way anyway.
So I don't think Andre really wanted to buy it. I think it's just him just
Dropping
wanting
it
to,
in his ear.
just coming in there, just stirring up trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a visual of me in your place of business. Let me just test the water out because maybe, I don't know, maybe Anderson is having financial problems. So let me just throw whatever out there. I'm just making you uncomfortable because you dared to step in my territory. But now Spencer's fired. So Andre's work is done. For the moment.
I think it's a great twist, and I wonder how long. I think if we're on episode 7, I think by then he will figure out a way to make it work.
To get himself.
But what
back
I
in
need
good
him to do
graces.
is I need him to grow some balls, and I need him to confront. This would be the time for you to punch the shit out of Andre. I need him to grow some balls, and I need him to like handle the situation, and I need him to stop tiptoeing around it because I feel like Andre should be just as to blame.
Agreed.
So what do you think he's going to tackle first? I mean, is he going to tackle his pill problem? Or is he going to tackle I have no job and Andre?
Well, speaking of pills, really quickly, so Spence went to Max to investigate, and so he went to the doctor and got the information on his alias, Mr. Chavez, and realized that he was taking a Vicodin and so forth, and so he confronted him about it. Just any thoughts before we wrap up and go to predictions on?
It's about time. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't think Joe really cares about that. I think
Yeah.
he's just like, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know?
I think he only cares because it's something he's hiding. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where Joe, I think, really just wants everything out in the open. I think there is a soft side to him,
Yeah.
which we've seen with Reggie. I think he really just wants to know, man, what's going on? You can talk to him about anything.
I get that, but also at the same time, had someone never got into his ear, he would never ask these questions. You can't be friends for all this time and then you get into your feelings and then you all of a sudden want answers because that's the nature of your relationship. So now you're trying to
You
change.
never know. I feel like it's been disconnected this season with them. I haven't seen them hang out a lot together. It seems very separate. We see Joe with players. We see Spencer kind of doing his own thing. It's, You're supposed to be a unit. That's what's going to make your business stronger.
I think Joe is feeling underappreciated and undervalued.
Yeah.
But now he's in an interesting position because loyalty, Spencer held him down when he was the one in that position. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles this.
Okay, any final thoughts or predictions before we wrap?
I think that Ricky will stay in Miami.
Definitely.
We saw a little glimpse of Tracy. So now maybe...
I don't care about Tracy and Spencer's relationship.
Me neither.
No.
And I don't care
like
about
whatever.
I don't care about Ricky's daddy, Dennis either. I don't actually have any predictions. So next week, there won't be an episode due to the holidays. So we will be back
September 11th?
September 11th. But if we do happen to come back, follow us on Twitter, and we'll let you know if for some reason we come back next week. And I don't know. Yeah.
I hope we see Vernon. How about there's a prediction? What's
Yeah.
going on with him? It's too.
Nothing. He's out for the season. We don't need to see Vernon.
Oh,
Bye.
come on.
Well, let everyone know where you guys can be found on social media.
You can find me at Suzette Babb.
You can find me at Stiletto Jill on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
And you can find me on all social media at Bamm Ericsen. We want to thank you guys for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV for Baller Season 2, Episode 7. Everybody knows. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.